So here we are. It is March the 2nd already. We're in the third month of the year 2012, and I just think the world is spinning really fast and we're moving right along here. But here at Totally Vocals, it's time for the review, and there's a lot of things I want to talk about this time. But let's do the business stuff first. This week we released another couple chest voice exercises. Actually, we released all of the chest voice exercises that are going to be shown to you in the intermediate course. And what's going to happen next week is that we're finally going to be moving into the head voice exercises, which is exciting for me because as you start to develop into the head voice area from what we've done in the chest voice area, we're a step away from putting that together, and it's very cool, and I know you'll all be better singers for it. Anyway, what did we do here? We released the yeah, yeah, yeah sound. Now in itself it seems, big deal. Yeah, 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 yeah. But that yeah, 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 yeah sound is kind of important to how things work through your vocal cords, and that's why I always use that sound. It sort of balloons out. It starts off thin and comes into a thicker sound for your chest voice. What does that mean? It means that you can get into the note a little easier with it, but still maintain a more full sound in chest voice. These things all will relate to melody lines, and I'll be able to refer back to melody lines in the lessons and so forth as this course gets done. So again, I'm excited about developing you and showing you what's going on in the course, and simultaneously getting more reference information up that I can relate lessons to as these get going. So anyway, like I said, we get into the head voice next week, so be excited about that. Besides the yeah, yeah, yeah sound, we also talked about the crescendo in the intermediate course, and crescendoing means, getting louder and softer, and that's still to the 5-note pattern where you sing descend and sing a little louder, ascend. It's there in the lessons for you to see, but that's a very, very important aspect in singing, the ability to get softer and louder at command at any moment. That's where you get into the vocal cord shading and really understanding more and more about how your voice works to become an artist with it and, literally paint a musical picture. And your vocal cords have to be in good physical condition to do that, as well as your mind able to call that up whenever it wants to in a creative way. So that's what the crescendo is about, and again, we'll refer back to that as time goes on. That's kind of fun. Now on the listen and recognize, we're moving along pretty well, just like we are in the intermediate course, in that now we've gotten up to giving you the chromatic scale and talking about all of the intervals and how to name both the intervals in number and in letter. And that again is really important. You want to be able to relate to how things move around both in numbers and letter names. And you want to learn to be quick at that in your mind. As you're doing that, you're going to be registering or working out what's going on in your head sound-wise with a label. That label's kind of important. So that's why we're doing this. And as I said, one of the things we did in the listen and recognize was just the chromatic scale. And I also put a chart with that, and I hope that you put some time and effort into thinking about that and visualizing it and getting it going. The other thing that's happening is we have taken a step up in the listen and recognize, because now we've left from listening to every individual note to starting to work with major scales. And we start again in the key of C, so it won't seem that different to you because we've been working from C to all of the other pitches, even the chromatic scale. But soon, very soon, next week, we will be leaving the key of C and starting to relate to these things in other keys. And the way that we're going to do that first is we're just going to take a major scale. I'll play different degrees, and you'll identify them. So you start to go, and you'll identify them in both numbers and letters like we just talked about, so you'll be seeing like, 1, 2, 3, 2, 1, 2, 5, 1, which could, depending upon what key you're in, could have different letter names. As you start to get that going in your head, I guarantee you these are the things that lots of singers don't think about. or even want to, I know. But hey, I've spent my life developing methods to make people naturals. And that is how I came up with many of the things that I show you here on the site. Things that I've done that I've noticed that the natural can do, but the not so natural doesn't have a clue. So that's what's going on here. I'm trying to work on the development of just hearing how pitches go. Listen, if you were born Stevie Wonder or Ray Charles or some of the other amazing people that have come into this world as part of our music icons, I guarantee you they heard these things from a very young age. They heard where the chords were moving around. They knew how to do things almost instinctively. Now, and if you can do that, more power to you. But if you want to develop it, or if you're worried that you can't do that because you weren't born with that Stevie Wonder, Ray Charles ability, guess what? You can develop it. You can develop it in a very progressive, easy way, just like we're doing here. Just trying to give you a little bit about my philosophy about all of this. You know, and it certainly has had an effect on me all of my life. I constantly have worked on hearing and have chord progressions and patterns. I used to do things when I was a kid like turn on the radio, sit down with my guitar, and pretend like I was on a gig. And literally, as it went from song to song, I pretended I was the guitar player in the band, and I used to see how many of the chord changes I could catch one time through. Trust me, I didn't do all that well for a while. But we are what we do, and the more that we do it, the better at it we get. So as time went on, I got better and better at that, and I started to learn more about how the patterns and the chord progressions and everything moved around. Hence, the listen and recognize is going to build you into a place where you're going to be able to listen to this, whether you play a musical instrument or not. Speaking of which, it's very good if, as a singer, if you can at least hunt and peck a little bit on the piano. You don't have to be a piano player, but being able to go to the keyboard and sort of peck out a note and hear the melody line and check yourself so you're moving in the right position, that will help you. Any chordal instrument, guitar, just as well. And you know, any instrument really. You can be a violin player, you can be a trumpet player. You're always working with the melody lines. Now, as a singer, you say, well, wait a minute, I'm here to sing. I don't want to play all those instruments, let somebody else do it. Absolutely fine. But you still need to have a basis as to where you're at musically. You can't just be floating out in outer space and not have any groundwork done at all to know just how the distance of something works from one thing to another. Anyway, the Listen and Recognize series is going to build you. Have patience with it, work with it, enjoy it, treat it as fun, not as a big deal, and you will absorb. And as you absorb, you'll see what I mean. Melody lines will become much simpler for you. And hey, we're heading towards harmony someday. You know, right now, we've gone from single notes to now intervals that move around in scales. We're going to go through all 12 keys. After that, we're going to start to identify chords. Then we're going to start to understand how the chords relate to those positions of the scales. And then pretty soon you're going to hear all kinds of things and be able to talk very intelligently about what's going on. Recognize and identify many things that right now might seem like only the gifted can do. So we're working on a method that develops you into the gifted. I guess that wraps it up. I will see you guys next week, and there are some songs coming. You're going to see at least one, maybe two songs next week besides the courses. So I'll see you then.